we can't touch you because you already have been tampered with. That was the answer. And so that meant nothing to me whatsoever. And so the therapist said, can you ask them what that means? And the next thing was, they were not talking. And so she said, can you ask them to show you what that means? And then they showed me holographic symbols in midair. So they drew symbols for me. And one of them was an upside down triangle with like 3 black dots on each end. Imagine like a craft landing right here, right?
Well, why not? I mean, you just said it. This could be a good spot to actually do a skywalk. Actually,
It could be.
I like your balcony with the mountain in the background, Provo.
Yes.
Because I had a feeling that mountain says something to me.
It
we
does.
were spotting that from day one.
Yeah, no, it's a great mountain. I always felt like a calling. Even like driving up there and then sitting down on the rocks, like you can really feel the energy from that place. But I mean, the whole area, to be honest, the whole Vancouver Island is kind of a vortex. You know, it's got so many little vortexes all around. You've got Sedona, which is a major one, an ancient vortex. But Vancouver Island itself has many vortexes all over the place. And you know, everybody who comes to the island, they can feel this energy. Like, you know, they can feel there's something they can't describe. And even the property I used to live on, you could feel like the energy flowing through the land, and it was actually affecting the trees. So the trees were completely like bending. And even the fence posts I put up, one of them, it was like a yellow cedar post, and they were like, I don't know, pretty thick. Put them in the ground like 3 feet deep, and they started like bending.
What?
Oh yeah, they started bending, and so I replaced them because it was only like a few posts who were doing that. So I kept changing them, and they were bending again.
What the heck?
So like the energy over there was very strong. I put up a lot of rocks, like granite rocks and so on. They, you know, like the blue granite rocks we have on the terrace there, exactly the same, but I had way more than that on that property. So I think granite kind of attracts energy as well.
Yeah,
and
we're talking about that.
Yeah. So I think that the whole property was recreated from scratch. It was just like a bare land. And I was very proud of the whole place, you know, trying to create a biodynamic farm and an organic farm. So it was like free of pesticides. So it was my kind of small little, you know, heaven on earth, you know. And then on the 11th of November of 2011, so 11/11/11, that day there was nobody coming to the office. It was obviously a bank holiday. And then I went to my office, sat down on my desk, and the same morning, when I woke up, I had a dream, and I thought it would just like go away. And that dream was this teenage boy was looking at me with this big bright smile, and he had big eyes, bigger than human eyes, and he was very happy to see me, you know. And he had like wavy hair, like white Caucasian looking, with like high cheekbones, and I could only see his bust, you know, in the dream. When I woke up, I remembered it, went to the office, and then I could not shake his memory away. Like he was still present in my field of vision. I could still see him, you know, through the windows, you know, wherever I was looking, he was still there. You know, it was weird. Imprinted. And for the whole day, imprinted for the whole day. So the evening I went back home, we had dinner. My wife went to bed with our daughter. She was only 1 at the time. and I decided to sit down on the sofa and to basically just meditate on that and thinking what's going on. And as soon as I shut my eyes, I could feel this whirlwind of energy going all around my body, and it stopped after a while. And I opened my eyes, and the teenage boy that I saw in the morning was basically right standing up in front of me physically, and he was in front of my library, and he was surrounded with this kind of blue haze or blue glow around his body, but I could see him from like head to toe, and he was still happy to see me with a bright smile. But when I saw him and when I opened my eyes, I was trying to stand up because I was sitting down on the sofa and I was completely paralyzed, like I could not move. And I remember looking at him and I could not even blink. And so when that happened, I was even trying to speak, but I couldn't speak. And then right away he said to me, don't worry, it's all fine. My name is Zo. So he called himself Zo. I don't know the exact spelling of it, but that's how he said it. And he's telepathically. And he said, and I am from the Galactic Alliance. And I had no idea what that meant to me. Like I was not into UFOs or paranormal or none of that before. I was just business, and that was it. So it was very strange to me at the time. And we had this kind of weird conversation about some visions I was having at the time while living on the land, and it was about like tsunamis and earthquakes to do with Vancouver Island as well. And it was so vivid that it created some panic attacks. Like I had panic attacks over that, and so I was inquiring about those visions and see if it was real. And he said to me, oh well, people will die, so what, it's not a big deal. Basically, like we know the soul lives forever. It's not a big. It doesn't really matter.
Not
exactly.
Yeah.
So that probably created more anxiety than after that.
Yeah.
But exactly. Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah.
But anyway, the whole conversation felt like it was maybe like 15 minutes at the most, and then he disappeared in a haze, and I regained possession of my body. So I stood up, and I remember looking at the floor, thinking, "That's it, I've lost my mind. I'm crazy," And I was going to the kitchen because I had my cup of chamomile tea standing up on the counter there, steaming and sipping. And when I grabbed it, I was still thinking about what was going on, what happened, and I put it to my lips, and it was freezing cold. So then I looked at the clock on the stove, and I realized I had 2.5 hours of missing time. And it didn't feel that long to me, obviously, when I was just
15 minutes
chatting. Yeah, exactly. And right after that, basically, that's when I started feeling differently. Like I had more and more visions. And I actually booked an appointment with a local hypnotherapist to do with my anxiety attacks and the visions I was having, because I wanted to get rid of them, basically, so I could focus on my business. And so when I went to see her, like the week after, I didn't mention that episode whatsoever because I didn't want to scare her or anything else. And I said, I have these visions, and like pretty much daily, and it's kind of disturbing me. And can you help me getting rid of them? And she said, well, did you want to get rid of them, or do you want to control them? Because I said I can help you with either way, either way. So I said, well, controlling them might be a good idea because I had good visions in my life. I had the vision of my own daughter when my wife was pregnant as well, and I thought maybe you can teach me how to do that. So she kind of taught me some self-hypnosis practices to control my visions. And she said to me, so in terms of your vision, did you want to go back to the time when you had most of these visions, like when that happened? And I said, well, when I was 16 years old, a lot of things happened that year because I was in a boarding school. And that year, my best friends basically were seeing me at 2 different places at once. And I had like automatic writing. I was writing this strange writing, like language that I was obsessed with it. I was filling pages and pages of it. And I also had very strong visions too of classmates and these sort of things, and things that were happening. They were prophetic visions. And I was, for the first time, did what was called remote viewing. So I basically did an experiment with a girl I liked, and I said, let's do an experiment. You're going to be putting some objects on your night table tonight, and then tomorrow morning I will tell you where they are. And so it worked too well, I guess, because she got really frightened by the whole thing the next day. And she would not talk about this for like 20 years, and I'm still in touch with her in France. But felt that when I was laying down on my bed, I was doing transcendental meditation, because I practiced it since I was 8 years old. And instead of sitting up and doing the practice, I basically used it to come out of my body, or to see from remotely, basically. And I could feel going through this fiber optic like tunnel. It was very dark and I was going fast. And then all of a sudden I was hovering over the night table, and I could see the objects, like I was there. And then as soon as I saw the objects, I came back into my body, and that was it. And then I remember like being sweating, out of breath, and not being able to move, and that scared me, because I don't really know what happened, but it was the first time I've experienced that, and that was when I was 16. So the hypnotherapist asked me to go back to that time, and the first memory I had under hypnosis was looking at myself basically outside in the field, outside the school, and I could look at my shoes, and I was observing the surroundings. I could see the school grounds, and I've got pictures, by the way, of the school and everything else. I could send you if you want to use that.
Thank you.
And when I was looking at my feet, I could see my feet basically lifting up. And I wasn't even thinking of an abduction at the time. I was thinking, oh, my feet are leaving the ground. And I was just describing what was going on, and I was just observing the whole thing. And then I said, oh, I'm being placed on my back in the air, And then all of a sudden I was going forward, my feet first, and I could see this craft, in the sky, and with a latch on the side, and I was going straight in. And as soon as I got inside, there were some tall gray aliens that were there waiting for me, and they started I guess hooking me up to things. I don't know what it was, like a helmet on. I remember having a helmet on, but I couldn't see anything else. There was like a blue glow or blue lamp or something on the left hand side, and those aliens were all around the table or whatever I was. I felt like I was still levitating, but I don't know. And then they started arguing with each other, and they were doing like this kind of sound. And so that's what I was telling the therapist, and she said, well, can you ask them what they're arguing about? And I said, well, I can't, because they speak a foreign language. So she said, well, if you ask them still in English or in French, whatever you like, they will be giving you an answer. So I asked them, I said, what are you arguing about? And the first thing they said was, we can't touch you because you already have been tampered with. That was the answer. And so that meant nothing to me whatsoever. And so the therapist said, can you ask them what that means? And the next thing was, they were not talking. And so she said, can you ask them to show you what that means? And then they showed me holographic symbols in midair. So they drew symbols for me. And one of them was an upside down triangle with like 3 black dots on each end. So that was one of them. There was a staff as well, like a 7-star symbol as well. And when the therapist asked me to ask them what those symbols meant, again, they didn't say anything. And even to that point, I did not believe in what I was witnessing, because I was never hypnotized before, and I thought it was so vivid that I was making it up. That's exactly the first thing that came to my mind at the time. I was always been very critical of my experiences. But what changed my mind was when the therapist asked me to ask them about those symbols as to where I've seen them before. The aliens, I guess, showed me in a way that was very unexpected, because I completely blacked out under hypnosis, and I felt I was going backwards. And then I opened my eyes, and I was in the body of a baby, and I could see my hands like baby hands. I was in this black liquid into this some kind of basin, whatever it was, and there was a top as well, like a glass top, and I could see the silhouettes moving outside, like in that space. And the therapist said, well, can you come out of your container or whatever and then just see where you are? That's what she said. So I did that, and then the next thing I said was, well, it's all black all around me, and I can see this like a few miles long spacecraft underneath me, and the Earth is underneath that, and I know exactly where I am on the inside of the craft.